What's up, Glorious Sim Racers? It's Larry at TJR Sim here, and today I want to cover the P1000 pedal review. Been using this since November 2024. Got a lot to say about it. Spoiler alert. Alrighty, so let's get into the P1000 review. Before I dive in deep, if you are interested in supporting the channel, shameless plug, check out my affiliate links. It's my Linktree link that you see in the description. I do have discount codes on various stores that you can get 5% off using the code TJRSIM across all of them. Hopefully that'll help you with your budgeting of sim racing. But yeah, jump further into it. So to cover this, it's kind of easier just to cover it through the website here. It has nice, pretty pictures. Everybody likes pretty pictures, and you can talk to it very easy. Now, I do get this question at times, what's the difference, or pedal set should I get? I generally always recommend the P1000 pedal set. Now, I haven't done a review on the P500 or the P2000, but I recommend it based off of the reviews that I've seen. Generally, the P1000, or not generally, but specifically the P1000 is the product, and the P500 for that matter, is a product that Simagic is supporting with a it's a modular setup that they are supporting to have advancements to. So you could buy it a pedal set, you could buy it inverted, you could add the clutch, you can add the haptics, two different haptics to it as well. You can add LEDs and stuff to it as well. When you go down to the P2000 kit, you can't add the extra LEDs and stuff, but you can add the haptics. You can do a 2-pedal or 3-pedal set. And the P500 is really just your entry-level sets, just to get into it. Recommended that the other day. As far as I understand, it's probably just as good as the Fanatec V3s, as far as how, I'm sorry, the Fanatec V2 lines that are their basic line as well. Should be along the same lines as that as far as feel goes. Certainly as good as the Pro pedals from Logitech as well. So, but that's a good one to get in if you, say, want to play some Gran Turismo with your Simagic stuff and you get the Sigma Cortex. Check out the review I have on that. A couple videos out there for that one. And you got a budget, right? So everybody has a budget, right? Doesn't matter if it's a big budget or a little budget. So, but P2000, it just quickly, if you wanted to cover, these are a hydraulic set only. And not everybody cares for the hydraulic set, so that may totally discount you from that. Everything you see here, you have to buy extra. So like this heel plate that you see here, this carbon fiber plate, I guess, base there, you have to buy separately. So by the time you add some things up, you're going to be at the level of the P1000s or more expensive. So it does have a really robust design look to me. Very nice CNC machines. But really the biggest difference is the clutch structure. This is their patented design for the clutch here. Now, if you're someone that don't use the clutch a lot, which I think probably most of it don't, or the majority of the people nowadays and sim race don't. I have a clutch on my P1000s. It does have the 2-stage feel. This has a 2-stage feel as well, from what I understand. It should feel a little bit more accurate, I would hope, than the one on the P1000s. But neither here nor there. I don't think this is worth enough to get to the P2000 level unless you just really dig the way it looks. I think it looks fantastic. I had a hard time actually choosing between the P2000s and the P1000s. Just because I like this raw machine look that this has. However, it's a cable nightmare. So if you wanted to add the haptics, you got to get a little box to use for the haptic system, and you got to Velcro it down somewhere on there. So where if you get the P1000s, all the haptic controls and stuff are integrated. So just look back up here on the P1000s for comparisons. Here it is going assembled together. But what I'm looking for is right here. So you have the Simray lights, the HPRs for the haptic systems here. You just plug it in to the base itself, and all those circuit boards and stuff are underneath it. It's kept nice and neat. You don't have to worry about bumping it with your feet or getting extra dirty in your room. So it's very cleanly done. It's a modular set. So that's why I generally like this P1000 a little bit more. And then again, just to quickly touch on the P2000 here, if you were to look at the P2000 pedal set, this is their basic pedal set, a lot more basic looking, basically, metal construction and stuff. But you can totally tell the difference in the aesthetics, obviously, but you have some nice little pedal adjustments here where you can go left and right, up and down a lot easier. But you got this little bumper style in here, and for the 100-kilogram load cell. You still have the load cell, but it's not going to feel, I guarantee it's not going to feel as good as your P1000s, but it's a really good starting point. But ergonomically here, you do have several adjustments, which is really nice on that. Maybe I'll get a set in to review one day to really give you my opinion on it. But you do have spring kits as well that you can use on this one. So not too bad for entry level. Is that good as any other entry levels in my opinion? But the heart of the show is the P1000. So as I said, modular build, you can get it with a hydraulic system or no hydraulics. There is some questions whether it's worth the hydraulic system or not. If I didn't mention the prices on these, now the price for this is $579 for the hydraulic setup, which is a 3-piece pedal set. If you wanted a 2-pedal set, it's $549. It's $30 more to get the clutch. Basically, that's up to you whether you want the clutch for $30 more or not. I, of course, got it because I do use it every once in a while. You got the multiple adjustments. You freely customize it with a ton of elastomers. I'll show you a video of that comes in the box here shortly as well. Mounting wise, it's just like this. When it comes in the box, it is just the pedal set, and you have to just hook on the pedal plate here, as you see just here in this video. It is as simple as that. And then, of course, that's it. When you want to put your haptics on, you can put your haptics in there as well, screw them down, and then plug them in. And you only have one USB going to your CAN bus if you have a CAN bus like I do, or of course then going to your PC. So really easy. Now these are built your way, so you can get them standard or inverted. Of course, went over standard design. You can get them with the hydraulic pedals or the non-hydraulic pedals, 2-pedal set or 3-pedal set. So they have them the way you want them, and you can grow as you see fit. Right? You could just get the modular dual pedal set here with no hydraulic set, and then later on add the hydraulics. You can also add a hydraulics to the throttle if you want to. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but supposedly it feels really smooth and precise with that. I have no problems with the spring setup. And then of course you have a ton of elastomers in here to use to get the fit and feel exactly like you want it. As it says here, meticulously crafted for durability. So lots of testing. All CNC build here, all aluminum design, very robust looking, very clean looking. It looks, when I look down at my pedal set on my rig, it looks awesome, especially when you're sporting other Simagic gears. You know, have this signature red anodization that you pick up off your pedal plate here. I actually use the stock pedal heel stop, which is the red one. Looks really good to me. I didn't go with the LEDs. Maybe I'll try it out later, but I like the red one better. It just aesthetically look better. Now you do have some good adjustments here. In my opinion, they're not as good as the Who's and Fells adjustments, but there is some adjustments here, and you can see here how you can adjust it. You know, the angle of the plate itself, but you can't take that plate and move it left or right easily. You have to actually take the whole base itself here and slide it over left or right by the different holes. So you see these red circled holes here. This is what you'll use to here we go. I've got my mouse on the right place. The red circle holes here. This is what you'll use to be able to slide it left and right as well. And of course, you got long enough wires that accommodate for that when you add your HPR haptic system to it as well. So here's some more adjustments as well, up and down, but you don't have that individual pedal left or right. Now, this is very easy to adjust, obviously. You got the tools that come with it in the box, a long Allen wrench that you can reach in there very easily to make some adjustments. And to be honest, once you adjust it once and set it up where you want it, you'll never do it again anyway. So the only thing you would do is if you have someone else in your rig, you want to slide your seat forward or your pedal plate forward and back as well, which then you better have some adjustable mounting plate right for that. But easy peasy. Here's the haptic system here, reactors, and they basically shake by moving the reactor up and down in the cylinder itself, which is different than the newer haptic system that they came out with, where they kind of buzz sideways, and so they're a different feel and probably similar frequencies, but still a different feel between them. This is kind of more your high-end haptic system. And it feels really good, actually. Very direct, very distinctive feel. You can totally tell they're actually working. This isn't like the old Fanatec V2s that had the little motor that went around and you didn't feel hardly at all. You could feel it because it was new to you, but after a while, it went away with the rest of the vibrations. Then if you added a haptic system of any kind, it totally overcompensated that, right? It clouded your feel of it, and it only worked in certain games. Same as this, it only works in certain games as well, although nowadays there are a lot more games they work in. Here's, of course, the Simagic lights system here that you see, where you can put the different pedal heel plate here for you, or you can add the one on the bottom. It's just magnetic, it just sticks on the bottom. The wire, of course, plugs into your back plate here, or actually goes across the top and plugs in there. Pretty easy setup, so pretty neat to be able to do. And I'll go over the software stuff here in a separate clip for you, but that's pretty much the intro of this. Let's jump into what I want to jump into next is the accessories, what comes in the box, so you can see what comes in the box. And then we'll go on from there to the software. And of course, give you my pros and cons on it and final thoughts. So, all right, let's go on. P1000-RS accessories, and just go over these real quick here. This is what comes in the box after you, of course, saw it already installed on my rig there. Just as note, everything comes pre-installed except for the bottom pedal plates, which you'll have to install it yourself. And then, of course, obviously, if you get the HPR motors here, you'll have to install the ones that you want on there. I'll link 2 videos in the description that shows it better than I could show you from Simagic themselves of how to install. But what you do get in the kit here is a bunch of tools, a bunch of Allen head tools, some nice ones too. Most of them come with these rounded ends here, which are really nice. You'll use this one here to install your pedal plate as well, so pretty nice. You get a set of springs already, and I believe what happens is you get these springs, this is for the brakes, and you get the set of elastomers here, along with the spacers that you may want to use. So many combinations to come up with, and of course the softest ones here. So it goes the softest, next in line, and then it goes up to a little bit harder, and then the hardest ones here. And then of course you can go with the springs as well. What comes pre-installed in the brake kit already on the pedal base there is this stack up here, which is 3, 3, and 3, so a total of 9 here. This is actually pretty nice progressive setup. I wasn't really apt to change it. I was pretty happy with this setup. It gave me a nice feel through the pedal, but of course I tried out different ones. The reason I say this is that I opted for the extra kit because I didn't really know I got all of these as well. It's the exact same number of springs as you get in the extra kit, you get in the box already. So you shouldn't have to purchase that extra kit, which is only a few dollars more down the line if something that wears out, or I guess I have some extra elastomers and springs and stuff. Pretty cool. And here's, of course, is the clutch springs here. I put the hardest one in there now, and switch out the clutch springs very easy as well. All right, let's talk about mounting here. So this is a Simagic P1000s mounted up onto my P1X SimLabs rig here. As you can see, depending on your rig, of course, you can adjust these how you want it. Now, this has 2 options for mounting. It has these through holes here on both sides, and then also back here. Now, the rear part of this unit here, you can't see the holes because I have adjusted throttle and the clutch pedal further away from the center, which then in effect covers those holes, which would be underneath here. That is one downside. You will cover those holes, but of course they've thought of that, and they gave you some side plates here to hook up, which is just 3 socket head cap screws here to mount the side plate to the base plate. And then of course you can use 3 screws here on the side, socket head cap screws as well. On both sides. I'm only using 4. 4 seems to be plenty. It doesn't slide around under heavy braking, even with the heaviest settings on here. So very solid mount. And then also quickly, just to look at some adjustments here that you'll see later in the video, is you have here where you can do your angle adjustments as well. You can't adjust your pedal faces. They are just as they are right there in one spot. So you can go up and down, but you can't go left or right, rather, on the pedal faces. But it is what it is. And then of course you can add your haptics to the back of them. I use just the throttle and the brake haptic. I don't use the clutch. However, I do use the clutch signal for the haptics, and I end up utilizing the haptics on my handbrake right there. And what I do is I set my clutch to be a gear indicator, and then I set the resonance or the hertz of that to match what would feel like a gear clunk when I shift. So pretty cool, something you can utilize. All I had to do was get me a little bit of an extension wire there, and I can leave a link in the description of that extra length wire that you may need. If I forget, just let me know, I'll add it. And yeah, that's pretty much it as far as mounting goes. But that's how I have it. Everything else is really adjustable as far as, you know, your units left to right. Here you got all these adjustment holes here, and they are mounted with 2 in the front and then 2 down there as well. And of course they come with a long hex head, an Allen head screwdriver there that you can use to adjust it easily. You also have some adjustments here on the side, up and down, to where you can increase your force of your throttle. This is the settings I like. I don't mess with it. Since then, I end up putting the heavier clutch spring in here, but you know, that's about it. Which is pretty easy here by just pulling this back, as you can see, and then you can pull it out, and then you can unscrew this ring here, slide it out, and get to the clutch spring. So pretty easy throttle adjustments here. This one I ended up putting the heavier clutch spring in here as well. Something similar where you have to, I believe, unscrew the back of this and slide it forward. It's been a little bit of time since I've done it, but to go ahead and replace this. I put the heaviest one in here. It actually has a really nice 2-stage feel as well, as you can see. Same kind of feedback you get, or at least it appears to be the same type of feedback you would get from the P1000-RS. However, this isn't the patented design like the 2000R is, but it does give me that pushover feeling like a real clutch would, and that's really all I needed. So, and of course the hydraulic system here for the brakes, which is pretty cool, and then your adjustment dampers are in here. Of course, you just unscrew that and put in whatever you like. I didn't have it screwed all the way down. Let's screw it on down. All right, so that's about it. As you can see, I have the pedals hooked up into here, the haptics. So I do love the tidiness of all the wires to be able to keep everything nice and tidy. The circuit board's already built in. You have a power wire off of here, USB on the back, and man, easy peasy, right? So, all right, that's a look at the mounting. All right, so just to let you know what I'm running here. This is what I'm running in for the combination I have. That I like. It feels more like a sports car to me, but progressively gets a lot stiffer, at least comparing it to the car I drive right now. This feels a lot more comparable to me. So a little bit of squish, which is I feel in the travel here. It also has a really good resistance to push the pedal back quickly with the spring, as opposed with the elastomers. I get a lot faster travel back to my foot with using a spring. So I didn't use the extra spacer on top at first. I was just curious if it would mar it up any here, which it does. Let's see if it zoom in here. I get a little bit of marring right there with the spring die on there. It hasn't torn it or anything like that, but what you should really do is put a spring in there, a little spacer, which they have a spacer here as well. And you can do it like that. Then you're protecting your elastomer as well. But I got a ton of elastomer, so I really wasn't worried about it. So anyway, I'll put it back together like this. That's how the assembly will go. In there, it really doesn't matter which way you go, but generally the way they show it is you put the shiny one in first and then load the rest. It's kind of a pain actually to load it in here because it's not like you can grab this whole set and hold it together without it collapsing apart and sliding it in. So I just end up sliding in, as you can see, it falling apart here, as I end up sliding it all the way up to this white part first. And then I set the spring in, and the other piece I attached to, let me see, to in there, and then screw it all together. So easy. All right. All right, let's go on the software real quick of the P1000. Just to cover this quickly, because I know a lot of YouTubers have covered this, and I'm sure you did some searching around on the internet here. But you have your pedals, of course, how you have it plugged in. I have it plugged into the CAN bus. I do recommend this as well, especially keeping everything nice and tidy for your USB ports. If you have it plugged in PC, it'll say PC as well in the version. Here you have the pedal settings here, so you can go to percentage. You'll notice this changes here for the position or kilograms, which would be the force. So for example, I'm putting in 9 kilograms of force, 10 kilograms of force, and that's how it's registered. And then you got you calibrate your pedals. Standard is how I'm running them as well. If you bought the inverted ones, you would have inverted clicked. And then you got your basic menus here, basic, which is what's shown here. Feedback, if you have the haptics, which I do, we'll talk about in a second. And then the lights I'll cover real quickly. If you were to do, say, pedal follow on this, say, Simray heel stop, if you bought that black heel stop, it'll light up across the bar as well. Same for braking as well. Or you can just cycle colors, breathing, or a single color, whatever you want. The same way for the Simray bar, which it goes underneath the pedal set. You can do the same thing here as well. So pretty cool for a little bling. All right, let me go back to basic here, and we'll cover the three pedals here. So the clutch, here you, of course, you set your dead zones. You got all these choices: limit, linear, convex, concave, S curve. Of course, that doesn't stop you. You can change to anything you really want within these little steps here, right? So keep that in mind. Same thing for brake and the throttle as well. You can have an S curve or whatever. I generally just go linear here on that, but maybe you want a little dead zone to begin with. You can drag this one here and have a little bit of dead zone. So that means even though the white part is what I'm pushing in on the pedal, it doesn't start registering until I'm about at 10, whichever 10 means, which is 0% when it hits 10, right? So pretty cool. So that's if you're someone that likes to rest, for instance, your foot on your brake pedal. Sometimes I do that as well. You could change that to where it's not even registering anything, right? So nice little hack, as well as change the max throttle. So even though you don't have to slam it all the way down to the floor to get to 100%, you're actually at 100%, much less input of throttle. So instead of doing it in game, some games have this where you can do it in game. You have all the power right here to do it yourself. So really nice. And then of course you can save things. So since I was messing with these settings, you see the save comes up. So I can save it as my own file. So say, for instance, save. This is the one that brake kit is what a BK stands for me. And all of my sim games that I wanted to apply to, you check off what you want to apply to, right? So let me see. For instance, I think I have the Forza Motorsport. Yeah, it's the same one I use for Forza Motorsport. But if you wanted a special one, of course, you could make a special one as well. Just change the name and then click which ones you want on there. So let's see. You can revert back, of course, to revert back to what your original saving was. So if you forgot where you were and you want to just go back to normal without saving, you can hit that. Now, keep in mind now, if you have this, whatever you change here is live within your game. So if you don't like how in other words, you can test some different situations while you're in game by just going over here to this menu system, do some testing while you're out on track and see if you like it or not for that particular car. And then later save it if you like that or not, right? So you can save it as your particular savings for some particular car that you want in that game. So keep that in mind as well. But if you decided I don't like that and you've messed around with all these different settings, you can easily click revert back and you'll be back to normal, right? So going over here to the brake itself, so load cell or angle. So angle is the angle of the brake position. So 100% when I push it all the way down is 100%. And then load cell, of course, works like you really would want a load cell, right? And then force percentage. So you can adjust this force percentage. So even though this is a 100 kg brake pedal, maybe you want to only output 65% of that, which equals 52 kilograms, but I can lower it down. Say now I don't have to push it as hard to max out the pedal at 33 kilograms. Now I'm maxed out. So this is how you can adjust this here. Revert back because I forgot what I had. All right. Oh, it didn't revert back. So let me see, 52. So I hold it down, 50 kilograms. 52 kilograms there. There you go, 50 kilograms. So 53 kilograms of force, I say 66%. I think I had on 65 actually. Very sensitive. 65%. All right. Now I'm back to normal. So that's how you can do that there. You can just click off the screen anywhere. Pretty easy peasy stuff here, but that's probably the most important setting that you'll need here is your force here, how much pressure you actually want to apply to your brake. And then again, you can change your curves and all that just to your liking. So maybe you need it to ramp up quite quickly on your braking. You can do that as well. So the output is quite effective with very little pedal travel. And then, of course, reversed, a lot of pedal travel with a little bit of output. So this is a really good one for iRacing. Some of the cars, I would tend to lock up the brakes. And so I used to on other pedals like Kusenfels is I would set my max force quite high. So when I just tap the brake, I'm not automatically locking up the brakes on certain cars. But you could do that here in this case, just by changing your curves here. So pretty cool. All right, so let's get on to the feedback of the haptics here. Now, this is really powerful as far as the program goes. And the reason I say you only really need the throttle and the brake. Most people say you just need the brake, right? I find that having the throttle is very handy to tell when you have wheel slip. So I have mine set for wheel slip. And of course, you can change the way this curve feels, right? So I have the strength at 100%, but you can change, of course, the hertz. I got 30 hertz, whatever, and then press and test it and see how it feeds off your foot, right? Bounces off. It literally bounces your foot off the pedal, which is crazy. So, but obviously a higher hertz is a little bit closer frequency and so on. Adjust it to your liking. It takes a little bit of trial and error, of course, on certain games as well. But here you'll notice your tire slip sensitivity. So the higher the value, the easier it is to trigger the slip vibration. The lower the value, the less likely the slip vibration will trigger. So it says you set this pretty high, you'll get the vibration pretty quickly when you start to have some wheel slip, or if you set it down low, it'll be more sensitive. So this is a really cool value to change and adjust because some cars will slip quite quickly on say the wheel slip in this case, but it really doesn't affect your geometry of your car. In other words, your car's not really stepping out, even though it's spinning slightly. The computer is registering that you do have some traction loss, but you don't really feel it in your wheel. Your car's not stepping out sideways, and so you really don't care. You want to maybe set this to where you have it to where the car is just about to step out. So this is where you can adjust it. So if you want to just, as soon as the tire starts to spinning, max it out. But if you want to be a little bit calmer with it and say, when it starts to spin up a little bit more speed on the spin, then I want to feel it so I can let off the gas a little bit. So really handy setup here. So I generally just keep it for wheel slip. You could do for wheel lock. Doesn't make much sense for on your throttle. Traction control is another one I played with as well, which means that anytime your traction control kicks in on the actual wheel, let's say if you have the wheel with the screen and stuff, or you see that your traction control lights are highlighting on your wheel itself. That is a good indication, visual indication, but you can also have the traction control with vibration kick on as well, just like you would for wheel slip. But I feel it to be quite intrusive after a while. At first, it was really fun gimmick as well. But again, you can set your strength as well on here and your frequency and press to change it. And what I did in the very beginning is I would have a different strength so I could tell if it's my traction control kicking in versus wheel slip. Later on, I just end up turning that off completely because it really doesn't matter. If traction control is kicking in and taking over, that's great. I know it, visually seeing it on my wheel itself. And then I really want to know just when the wheels are actually slipping. So this is really good for cars that don't have traction control in that manner, right? Same thing for brakes here. Wheel lock, I have it on wheel lock. So I did have it for ABS as well in the beginning, but then it just became too annoying and it's always kicking in ABS. Again, I can see that visually on my screen. I'm sorry, on my wheel itself, lighting up my ABS buttons. But and then traction control, of course, doesn't make sense. Wheel slip, you could do that as well, but that makes no sense for braking, right? So really, the only ones that make sense for braking is either ABS and wheel lock. But again, I use wheel lock, so this is great for the cars that have no ABS function, right? Or if you do exceed past the ABS function, maybe you have the ABS function set low to where it's not so intrusive and you actually lock your wheels. You can really fine tune it to where you really get the feel of your car. So really nice. Gear shift here, clutch. Just like I showed the way I wired it up, I wired my my clutch to be my handbrake haptic. So my handbrake haptic goes off when I shift gears. And so I just utilizing the plug that's on the P1000s as the clutch, I select that option, gear shift. And now when I make a shift with my DX8 shifter, I feel that clunk in my gear shifter. And then again, you can also adjust the way this feels, right? So I end up shortening this vibration quite low. So when I do make a actual gear shift, which when you do it electronically on the screen, right, it gives me 100% feedback or strength rather at this certain frequency for 200 milliseconds. And that's what I found to actually feel it come through, for me at least, on this to feel it when I do an actual shift. This is the settings that I use, right? But check it out, test it out, and see what you like. But all in all, the software is very powerful to use. I don't really feel like I need to use the SimHub to have more adjustments than what I have here. I end up not using, like I said, most of these. I just keep it pretty simple and roll with that. So, and as far as the pedals, that covers all of the software. So thanks. All right, let's cover the cons real quick here. As you've seen in the mounting portion of the video, some of the cons that I actually pointed out or alluded to in that is that you can't utilize the 4 holes on top, as you see here. You can't utilize those 4 holes to mount it to your plate if you are adjusting your throttle or your clutch left or right to some extent, right? And so you may cover them up, but they thought of it and put the little gave you the adapter to mount to the side. So easy peasy, right? Not a big deal here for that. But that is a con I have to point out. So the other one is the pedal face adjustment, like I alluded to in the intro of the video. You can't really adjust it left or right. You actually have to unscrew the modular pedal itself and slide the whole pedal over left or right, which makes it a little bit more cumbersome to go do. But again, this is something you'll probably set up just once and be fine with. And it is pretty easy to do, and they do give you the pedals or the tools rather to do that. So now another one is the haptic settings may not be as vast as SimHub, but there are many choices there. And so as you notice in the software, and as I mentioned in the software, I didn't miss anything as far as haptics go, adjustments for the haptics. I thought they were just fine. They seem to work on a lot of games here. Here, you, of course, got up some of the games that they don't work, and then most of them that they do work for. So there's a list. Now, what I find is that sometimes this list is not updated. Obviously, this one here on their main website is definitely not always updated correctly, but I will find that that my haptics will still work in some games they say don't work. But so check it out for your individual self. But that's just cons, very short list of cons, mostly all pros. So what are the pros, you may ask, right? So there are a lot of them. First of all, this is just a absolutely beautiful looking design. It's flexible in what you buy, whether you get a two pedal set, 3 pedal set, setup, inverted or not inverted, hydraulic, non-hydraulic. You get the extra accessories and stuff like the long pedal face if you want to opt for that, LEDs and stuff if you want to buy those for the heel plate or the under tray. And obviously I mentioned the hydraulics. Haptics is huge on this thing. This is really, you know, they set the bar for the haptic system on this so much that everybody's looking for 3D printed plates to come up with to make these haptics fit on, say, like the Husenfelds. I could have just got these haptics and put them on my Husenfeld Sprint pedals as well, but you can put them on. There is a 3D printed adapter for just about all the major pedal brands out there. Just check Etsy or eBay. You'll see them out there. So you got the extra rubber kit. So like I said, you know, the unboxing part of it or what comes in the box rather, it's a ton of rubbers. I wouldn't spend the extra money on the extra modular hydraulic kit. It seems like you get it anyways in there. So comment below if you experience the same thing, if you got 2 kits or not. And, you know, if you ordered a hydraulic kit, that is, did you get a separate kit for the hydraulic like I did, which is what I ordered, but I found that there's the same elastomers, same springs and all that as well. So in the very beginning, I thought there was just, you had to buy the hydraulic damper set that was different than what came in there. So I don't know, maybe they messed up. I'm not sure, but either way, I'm glad to have a bunch of extras. And it's $18 for that extra kit, so big deal. Not that big of a deal, right? But built-in electronics board. Oh man, that's great. So I hate wires. I just hate them. And if everything was was I don't know. I guess it would be bad if they were all Bluetooth connection to every little thing. But if I can hide the more wires, I can hide, especially when you got a sim rig with motion and 3 pedal setups and all these peripherals that you may run, like a Steam Deck and so on. It's really nice to be able to have something look really clean down there. Now you do see the wire that is going from your haptic motor to your actual pedal deck. I was just seeing if I see a picture here, but you will see a wire that goes from, like I said, if you have a haptic motor up here, it'll plug into there. Not that big of a deal. That actually doesn't look bad. I don't ever seem to have a problem getting messing them up with my feet or anything like that. Of course, normally I race with shoes. But I do like the built-in electronics board. Really nice. Pedal plates. The pedal plate is included, which say the P2000s, they are not included. So that's nice. You also have it's priced very well actually for the market. So for what I say, let me see, what was it? It was $579 for the 3 pedal set and $549 for the 2. I paid more than that for the Sprints, right? So you'd pay a lot more for the Sprints pedals. And there is some differences between the two, but this is definitely a more robust looking setup than my original Sprints that I bought way long ago. All in all, a really good price per market, I think, especially considering you can get a hydraulic set and get that extra hydraulic feel. So comes with these charts online that you can set up like your GT3, GTE, LMP setups as well. So see if I show it here real quick. Nah, I don't have it. I'll flash them up on the screen here, the different hardness levels, what they mean to get a setup for GT3, GT4 setup. Right here, you do have some examples here. Here's a GT4 setup on the left, and the middle TCR, and the right is like a sports car soft. To me, that's not exactly like a sports car. Mine's quite a bit stiffer than this one. However, the setup that I'm running with my setup is a combination of the springs and elastomers, and I'll flash that up on the screen here so you can see what I'm running. But I really like it. It has a very good progressive feel to it. It's actually quite stiff at the very beginning, kind of like a real sports car would be stiff, but it has a little bit of a mushy travel to it as well. And then it compacts and gets hard like a hydraulic system would. So I like it a lot. It feels good. Now, the stock setup, which I'll flash up here on the screen as well. It is a step system there, basically of 3 elastomers each. So you got a total of 9 elastomers. And it feels really good and progressive. I actually ran that for over a month and really didn't feel like I needed to change it. I got so used to it so quickly, adapted to it so quickly, that I didn't really feel there's a problem. And now these elastomers surprised me. So another pro is these are small elastomers. You can actually interchange them quite easily compared to the Husenfelds, where you just have the big elastomer. I generally I believe the wider the elastomer is, the more feel and rebound you can get out of it to modulate your pedals. However, these really surprised me being this close. Now, if I was to compare them to, say, the Logitech Pro pedals, that elastomer set, not so much. Of course, they're longer cylinder ones, and they compress up pretty quickly. But with this one, with a small disc, you can really adjust the way you want it to feel, individual to what you like, and then try out a bunch of different sets and then roll with what you like the most. And or if not, just try out the different recommendations that they have here as well for you to check out. But man, I really like the robustness of it and the ease of adjustment. So that's a huge pro in my opinion here. So 2 different mounting solutions. If you're using inverted pedals, that's a pro. You can use the 2 through holes and hide all your bolting, which makes it look a little bit cleaner as well. Or if you're not adjusting your pedal faces too far out, you can use them as well for the standard set. However, you'll have to use the side plates, which don't quite look as clean to me, but you do have that option to go ahead and set it up and adjust it. So that is the pros. I'm sure I missed some pros, but man, this thing is mostly all pros, right? So, all right, let's get on to final thoughts. Alrighty, so final thoughts. If you can't tell, I do like this set. I did purchase this again with my own money. Yeah, I'm not swayed in any way, even if they were given to me for the hopes of a good review. Wouldn't matter to me one way or another, because I don't need this job. so, so but yeah, just giving you my thoughts and opinions. Final thought wise, very good pedal set. It's priced well. For the money, it is I really like that it's not too expensive as far as a mid-range pedal set. And this is really embarking between mid-range to almost high-range pedal sets as well. I haven't experienced a pedal set that felt any better than these. Pedal sets I've experienced are, of course, the Fanatics V1, V2, V3s. With the damper kits, I had the Thrustmaster TLCMs, Husenfeld Sprints I still have, Logitech Pros I still have. And then, of course, these, right, the P1000s. These are actually my favorite set. And like I mentioned in the pros, I originally thought, and I still think that you generally, the wider the elastomer, you have a better feel and cushion and spring back because you just have more mass to spring back against your foot with that. So when you're comparing it to, say, a Logitech Pro that has a long cylinder elastomer, that's a little skinny one, size of a dime, diametrically, it doesn't have much spring back and it gets hard quite quickly with travel of the pedal. These, I thought would equate to pretty close to the same, but being that they are separated, that's all the difference in the world right there. By you separating those discs, and then of course you can change the disc in and out to whatever your liking is, you can really get an optimal setup for yourself over, say, even the Husenfeld Sprints, that is. Now, I love my Sprints. I've been a big fan of Husenfeld Sprints. I love their products. Absolutely great products. Now, with that in mind, with final thoughts, if I was happy with my Husenfeld Sprints, which I was, and I didn't want to look for new bling, new gear, which I was looking for new gear, just to try out different stuff to see how further advanced they come. Because you got to remember, Husenfeld Sprints has really cornered the mid-range department as far as brakes go for many, many years. And I think these are the only ones that really combat with them that I've tried, right? I'm sure there's other ones out there, but so far that I've tried, that really gives the Sprints a run for their money. But if I didn't want to spend the money, I would have kept my Sprints and just bought the 3D plates to add the haptics to it and been done with the day. So if you have Husenfeld Sprints, you don't necessarily have to run out and get this set. Obviously, it's your money, do what you want to do with it. But I enjoy the look of these. This way they look fantastic on my rig compared to the Sprints. Now, of course, the newer Sprints look better than the older ones that I have, but the original ones, the OGs that I have. But these look the part, keeps all your wiring and stuff together, nice and easy peasy, compact designed. And they're modular, so you could, add things like LEDs and stuff. So if that's important to you, the modularity of things, these are probably the way to go for you. So they have high adjustability, which I really like. It's arguably, if it's smoother than the Sprints, to me, the smoothness is pretty much the same. Now, that also comes to the question of hydraulics, right? Do you feel any difference with the hydraulic set? And that's probably the elephant in the room. Why get a hydraulic? A lot of people say that they don't really feel any difference. And then some people say they do feel a difference. I thought I wasn't going to feel a difference at all because honestly, the hand shifter that I reviewed, it has that nice hydraulic feel to it, which I was surprised I would feel that smoothness of fluid, right? And it's not like you feel the fluid going in and out of the orifices that are in there, right? But it does have a really nice smooth feeling, and maybe this just goes to me playing with RCs a lot of times. I had an HPI, Baja, and all kind of RCs, nitro sets and stuff, and you get to where you try different springs, shocks and stuff, right? And you learn how they feel, right? But I don't know, maybe it equates to that. I have a good sensitivity to the feeling. It's not like I'm riding a little RC car, right? But I can feel that extra smoothness of the hydraulicness. And I thought it might have been a placebo effect. So I took them all out and put the lightest elastomers in there to see if I felt any notchiness in there. And no, I didn't. It was very smooth. It was different than the other ones. You don't feel anything hanging up. It just has a nice compressive feel. It's very slight. I will say it's very slight. It's not like a deal breaker. If you don't want to spend the extra money for the hydraulic kit and to have the cool saying that I got hydraulic brakes, I wouldn't say you would have to run out and get them. And I would say that you still have more adjustability with these P1000s, non-hydraulic or hydraulic, than you do with, say, the Sprint, in my opinion, from what I've used, just because all the elastomers, you can put springs in there as well, which really amplify your feeling of it. So all in all, it's a really cool setup. It is subjective, of course. Now, if you are someone that wants to play Gran Turismo 7, so just like I've had the review of my Sigma Cortex here to my right, you have to run all Simagic stuff. You can't have Husenfeld pedals and or Logitech pedals and try to run on a PlayStation. PlayStation only recognizes one USB. So you're going to want to, you don't have to get the CAN bus, although I did. I recommend it. It's just a few bucks to get that and make sure you're wiring a little bit more simple to run your wires around on your rig, instead of me having to run, say, my wheelbase and my pedals to my Sigma Cortex box. I just run one cable to it, right? So it's just less wires to run around the rig. And like I said, I don't like wires everywhere. So that's why I recommend that one. But you will have to do that. I recommended it to someone the other day. They had a tighter budget. Get the P500 pedals, great entry level. And if you outgrow them for the game, then upgrade to the P1000s and go from there. I notice a significant difference in these P1000 pedals that I do over the Logitech Pros with Gran Turismo 7. So I have to mention that because it's actually very noticeable between them. It's almost like going from a non-load cell to a load cell. I'm able to actuate and let off the brake in a much smoother way than I could with the Logitech Pros. And my thinking of before in the past was Logitech Pros, or say Gran Turismo 7 with any pedal set, is probably good enough because it's not going to articulate the finesse that you would get from a PC, which it may not. But I actually feel a nice progressive pedal adjustment. Of course, you can see it on the bars and stuff. But this resolution is 12-bit, so 4096 steps, right, of resolution. So I don't know if that degrades when you go to the console. Old things like Fanatic pedals, they would degrade the resolution when you went there. I don't think you do with this Sigma Pro, but if comment below if you lose some of those, if it goes from a 12-bit to something less, like an 8-bit, right? Or a 10-bit resolution, and for the console. But either way, it's a significant difference between the two. So if you're a Gran Turismo fanatic, then this is really no question anywhere to go is with the P1000 pedal. So especially if you're racing in competitions. But that is it. I hope this was very helpful for you. It was a little bit long review, and but I hope I covered everything for you. I've been reviewing these, of course, for a few months now, like I said, since the Thanksgiving of 24, and this is February 19th. So, all right, well, that's it. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it. And like if you like, and if you don't like anyway, and sharing is caring. So, all right, see you next time on the track. I'm out.